Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
So who were the religious leaders afraid of? The Romans. They said if we leave Christ alone, everybody's going to believe on him, and then the Romans will take away our place. What do they mean our place? Their authority, their rulership, because they were the leaders at that time. Go ahead.
And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for that nation.
What nation? The nation of Israel. That was in the land. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. That's the southern kingdom that was there at that time. Go ahead.
And not for that nation only.
Uh-oh, now this is where they also fall off the hose. Read it again.
And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad.
So now, the Christianity goes, see that? The children of God are scattered all nations.
Right.
No, it's not talking about that. Who are the children of God that were scattered abroad? We just read it earlier in Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. Let's read Deuteronomy 4, verse 27, show you the prophecy. Who are the children of God that were scattered abroad? Let's let the Bible speak.
Right. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 27. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations.
And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations.
And ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you.
Who was Moses speaking to in Deuteronomy? Remember we read earlier in Deuteronomy 1 verse 1, these words spake Moses unto all Israel. So now read that again.
Deuteronomy 4 verse 27. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you.
So go back to John 11 verse 52.
John 11 verse 52. And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad.
Now let's take a look at Deuteronomy 32 verse 26. Let's get more prophecy.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 26. I said I would scatter them into corners.
Corners, right. Out of the mainstream into ghettos. Go ahead.
I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
Right. Who is that people that the Lord scattered? Maybe they Negroes. I don't know. James 1 and 1. So we were scattered. The prophecy, the point was that the Israelites were scattered. James 1 verse 1.
James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting.
To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. So the apostles knew the prophecy.
Right.
Okay? So from there, let's go back to John 7, verse 32 to 35 again. We read that a few minutes ago.
John chapter 7, verse 32. The Pharisees heard that the people murmured such things concerning him. And the Pharisees and the chief priests sent officers to take him.
So the Pharisees and the chief priests took officers to take Christ. Go ahead.
Then said Jesus unto them, Yet a little while am I with you, and then I go unto him that sent me. Ye shall seek me, and shall not find me. And where I am, thither ye cannot come. Then said the Jews among themselves, Whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles, and teach the Gentiles?
So the Pharisees and the chief priests asked, would Christ go among the dispersed, among the Gentiles, and teach the Gentiles? What were they calling the dispersed? They were calling the dispersed of Israel Gentiles. Now let's further prove who this dispersed among the Gentiles is. Let's go to Isaiah 11. And let's read verse 12, then jump up.
Jump up, verse 12. Isaiah 11, verse 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
Read that again.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
So now let's see what the prophecy says. This is the prophecy of Israel being gathered together. Although they're outcasts, although they're dispersed, Let's see what they're called. Let's start with verse 10.
And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people.
The root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people, is Christ.
To it shall the Gentiles seek.
So now they see that and go, see, the Gentiles is going to seek to Christ. This is what Christianity, the lie that Christianity has taught our people. Let's see who these Gentiles are that shall seek to Christ. Go ahead.
To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious.
Right, the it is talking about is the ensign, the laws of the Most High God. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people.
Of his people. Go ahead.
Which shall be left from Assyria,
and
from Egypt,
and
from Pathros,
and
from Cush,
and
from Elam,
and
from Shinar, and from Hamath,
and
from the islands of the sea,
and the various islands of the sea.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
So the point is to assemble the outcasts of Israel and to gather the dispersed of Judah. It says Israel and Judah, because remember, the kingdom was split into two kingdoms, all right? That's why during the time of Cyrus, the Persian, you had the southern kingdom, which was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, returned back to the land, and the other Israelites, which were the northern kingdom, part of them remained in the lands where they sojourned, and a large majority went into ships, and went through the Euphrates into another part of the world, which was the so-called Americas over here. Okay? So now, let's go from there. Let's go to Psalms 106. So, these scriptures are easy to be understood, easy to be entreated. Okay? You must be born. To be born again means you got to start again in your understanding of what this Bible's talking about.
Right.
You can't go and think you're going to understand this Bible. Meanwhile, you got a blog of Christianity all up in your brain, so when you read, you all confounded. Ooh, my pastor said. I know what I'm reading, but my pastor said. No, forget what your pastor said. Your pastor's a liar.
They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. And they served their idols, which were a snare unto them.
So the Israelites, when you read the history, they were commanded to destroy certain nations, okay? Tear down their idols. Some nations, the Lord said, don't leave not one of them alive. But Israel was disobedient, okay? And Most High, because of that, it said they were mixed, they were what? Mingled what?
But were mingled among the heathen and learned their works.
And learned their works. And what did the Israelites do when they learned their works?
And they served their idols.
Serve their idols. Did we not read that in Deuteronomy 28, verse 64? That amongst these other people, Israel would serve strange gods, even wood and stone? Yes. Go ahead.
Which were a snare unto them.
And those idols were a snare unto us. How? Because it took us away from the one true God. We were snared with idols of Allah, idols of the crucifix, idols of the white Christ, idols of Mary, idols of Apostle Paul, idols. Okay? So now, from there, let's go to Matthew 25, verse 34 to 36. Okay? Because I want to jump down here, because you got this thing, you got some Israelites that talk about the law of the stranger. Oh, there's the law of the stranger. In the New Testament, when the scriptures refers to the strangers, it's referring to Israel. I'm going to show you that, okay? But before we go there, let's go to Leviticus 25:44. Let's see what the law of the stranger consisted of. I'm going to show you that right now in captivity, you cannot enact the law of the stranger. Go ahead.
What's up, Leviticus 25 and where 46 you want me to start at?
The one where it gives you the 44.
Right, 40, okay. All right, so make sure you want to click on it. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 44. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall you buy bondmen and bondmaids.
Meaning slaves. Go ahead.
Moreover, the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you.
So at this time, you had other nations that were under the Israelites. Listen to the key word, under the Israelites. Because at this time, we had been delivered from Egypt. We, the Israelites, were the dominant nation. The Lord our God fought for us, and the nations feared the Israelites. Okay, so they obeyed the Israelites. And verse 45 again?
Moreover, the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall you buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession.
They shall be your possession. Come on.
And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children.
And he shall take them as an inheritance for your children. Come on.
For your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever.
How long?
Forever.
Check that out. Go ahead.
But over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule one over another with rigor.
Right. We were allowed to rule over the other nations, the strangers amongst us, with rigor. We could be hard on them. Okay?
Force. Right?
Right. With force. So now, this is when the Israelites were the dominating force in the earth. But when the Israelites were in captivity under the strangers, okay, let's get that real quick. Get Deuteronomy 28 about the strangers amongst you. Get that, because this got to be settled. What verse was that?
1 second, let me get that. Deuteronomy 28, the strangers amongst you got very high.
Yeah. 43.
Okay, I'm looking right at it.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 43 and 44.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 43. The stranger that's within thee shall get up above thee very high.
This is the curse. This is the curse regarding the strangers that were amongst us. If the Israelites broke God's laws, this is the curse. Come on.
The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
Get up above thee very high.
And thou shalt come down very low.
And thou shalt come down very low, meaning slaves. Come on.
He shall lend to thee.
The strangers shall lend to us.
And thou shalt not lend to him.
And thou shalt not lend to him, because we would have no resources as in captivity.
He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
And the Israelites would be the tail, and the strangers that were amongst us, the Most High prophesied, they would be the head. So now, what we read in Leviticus 25, verse 44 to 46, it had no more force when the Israelites went into slavery. Here you got today, Negro, simple Israelites in captivity talking about, oh, the white man is our strangers amongst us. No. Are they your slaves, Negro? So you cannot enforce the law of the strangers upon. They get that from that lust. They want a white woman, so they go, oh, I got me a white woman. And brother, why are you marrying these other nations? The Lord is stranger? Yeah, the Lord is stranger. No, you cannot do that, okay? You can deceive those around you, but guess what? This truth going to be taught.
That's right.
So now, in the New Testament, when Israel was in captivity and scattered amongst the other nations, we became the tail. We were called by Gentile names according to Deuteronomy 28, verse 37. We were called by proverbs and bywords. Okay. So now, the strangers. Matthew 25, let's read verse 34 to 36.
Matthew chapter 25, verse 34. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father.
This is what Christ is saying to the Israelites.
Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world.
He's saying this to those Israelites that repented in him. Come on.
For I was hungry, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in.
This is the part we want there. I was a stranger, and you took me in.
Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me.
And you know what? When it says he was in prison, like Paul was in prison, Peter was in prison, for what? Doing this work. Teaching the gospel. Not for robbing banks, Negro. Right. Not for beating some woman up on the street, punching her in the face. That's not what this is talking about. Come on.
Verse 37. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungry, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily, I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me.
So now what I'm going to show you is that the Israelites, when we were in captivity, we were called strangers. That's why Christ said, when I was a stranger, you did what? Where was that at? Verse 35.
Verse 35.
I was a stranger and ye took me in. Let's go to Obadiah. Obadiah verses 10 to 12. Obadiah. Let's see if the Israelites are called strangers.
Obadiah, verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob.
For the Edomites' violence against their brother Jacob.
Shame shall cover thee.
Shame shall cover the nation of Edom.
And thou shalt be cut off forever.
And the nation of Edom, according to prophecy, shall be destroyed forever.
In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast.
So now, notice it says, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces. The Babylonians helped Edom. Let me say it this way. Edom helped Babylon destroy the Israelites. Right. So when it says the strangers, that's why it's just showing the Lord of stranger cannot be in effect. When those strange, the literal strange nations came against us, we went into captivity. Now let me go check out this next verse. Come on.
Verse 11. It says, carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou wast as one of them. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother. In the day that he became a stranger.
In the day that Israel became what?
That he became a stranger.
Israel became a stranger when he went into captivity. When the nation of Israel went into captivity, we became a stranger. A stranger to who? The Most High God. Because we broke his commandments. Read it again.
But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress.
So what we wanted that to show you that when we went into captivity, the Israelites, we became strangers. So now, let's go to 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 1. Here's another one that people, Peter's talking about all nations.
1 Peter chapter 1, verse 1. Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia, elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father, through sanctification of the Spirit, unto obedience and...
Did you read verse 1?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, read it again.
Nice and slow, Pete. Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia.
Who are these strangers that were, did you use the word scattered?
Yes.
Who are these strangers that were scattered? It should be so crystal clear to you now. The Israelites were scattered and they became strangers. Okay? So now, read the next verse in case since you read it, they might get confounded with that.
Elect, according to the foreknowledge of God the Father.
Who is the elect according to the foreknowledge of God? Isaiah 45, verse 4. Who is the elect of God? All nations is Christianity. They're all nations.
Isaiah 45, verse 4. For Jacob, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect.
And Israel who?
Mine elect.
And Israel, mine elect. That's crystal clear. That is crystal clear. So now, from there, let's go to the book of John, chapter 10, verse 14 to 16. And you know, these scriptures are so easy. The scriptures say, if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them which are lost. And I'm sorry for you if you can't understand this. Okay, John chapter 10, verse 14 to 16.
I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and am known of mine. As the Father knoweth me, even so know I the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold.
Now, this is the part we want. And other sheep, Christ says, and other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, all nations. That's what Christianity does. But we've already read it. In Ezra 1, what happened? Only 3 tribes remained during the time of Christ, came back to the land. Where were the bulk of the other tribes? Some remained in the lands where they sojourned. Another portion of them went to the other side of the world. Right. Verse 16 again.
Verse 16. John 10, verse 16. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice. And there shall be one fold and one shepherd.
And then